I'm a believer that this team's going to win the national championships.
The rivalries, it's up there on top of the list, man. And if we allow them to devalue it, we lose a lot of what makes college football special. Don't let them do it. Don't let them devalue what it means to you. And welcome into Juck on Bucks on a Monday morning. Appreciate you all so much for joining me. Hope everybody had a great Sunday, great weekend, great Easter, whatever it is you guys do with your family. I hosted Easter here at Juckeye headquarters. Had everybody over, but my little nephews didn't come. They were on their mom's side of the family at Grandpa Blaine's and Grandma Susie's. Now, Grandma Susie's dad, Bill Putich from Cleveland, the Michigan starting quarterback in 1949 and 1950, which means he was the quarterback for one of the most famous games in the history of the game, the 1950 Snow Bowl. The game played in front of 50,000 fans at Ohio Stadium. Conditions so bad they couldn't get the tarp off the field. The fans built bonfires in the stands. Heisman Trophy winner Vic Janowicz punted for 685 yards, 45 total punts in the game. They were punting on first down at one point in the game because they thought it was a better idea to get the ball to the opponent and let him screw up. Michigan won that game 9-3. Not a single pass completion on their side of things. And that brought the streak to 6 in a row that they had won over Ohio State. That was the fourth loss in a row for Wes Fessler. He resigned 18 days later, replaced by a fellow by the name of Woody Hayes. So Grandma Susie, she's a talker, man. She's a talker. So my nephew's going into enemy territory, into the lion's den when they head over to see Grandma Susie. But don't worry, guys. They are loyal to the soil. They take it. They give as good as they get. And they had an amazing week last week. This is Leo. Leo talked his way into the Woody, and I just had to put this on the show here. Leo talked his way into the Woody to get a little FaceTime with the man Will Howard, and Rome got himself on the field, chilling at the 50 on his recruiting visit. This is in-state talent. This is in-state talent right here. I do believe he is a heavy Buckeye lean. If I had to guess right now, I'm leaning Buckeyes. I'll put the Juckeye ball in there for Buckeyes. A deep, talented class, speaking of in-state talent, in the class of 2026, the guys that are committing now. 5 of them in the class of 11 right now that are committed to Ohio State from Ohio. That's Max Riley, Jacob Weatherspoon, Sam Greer, Jaden Ricketts, and now CJ Sana. But the class headlined by the state class by a duo of corners, Vic Singleton, Rock Hill, who know each other very well. Vic from Toledo Central Catholic, Rock from Akron Hoban, and they went on several recruiting visits together, but they've gone about their commitments very differently. Vic committed pretty early to Illinois, which shocked a lot of people, shocked me at first too, but when I started to think about it, it made a lot of sense. In this era with a lot of money, Illinois now investing in football, and we're seeing teams in the Big Ten with money to spend now, and they're actually investing it in football. And Illinois won 10 games last year. They just paid a bunch of their guys to come back. So they won 10 games without recruiting at a high level. And that's proof of concept. And you could just kind of see Brett Bielema like building a little something there. So it kind of made sense to me when I started looking at it a little further like that. They also got 4-star linebacker Cam Thomas out of Ohio, a linebacker who really wanted a Buckeye offer. That never came. So he commits to Illinois. But you know, some people thought that he was probably going to end up flipping. That's Vic Singleton from Illinois. And they are right, as he has now flipped his commitment, and he will be the second Ohio kid who heads down to Texas A&M. In addition to that, a target that Ohio State had out of New Jersey also goes to Texas A&M. There's no shame in their game. So Vic Singleton now committed with Storm Miller to Texas A&M. As they will just pump money at a problem. These guys, it's so funny how they just try to throw money at issues. And, you know, it's not seemed to work for my lifetime for them. But Vic goes from an also-ran in the Big Ten to an also-ran in the SEC now, heading down to College Station to play in front of that cult, which is just an odd spot, man. Texas A&M is a weird joint. But our buddy Rock went to Oregon over the weekend, had a great time as he always does. He's no stranger there, been there a lot of times. Oregon's cornerbacks coach Chris Hampton has killed it in this recruitment. He's put in more work than anybody else. He is the only coach who came to Hoban and Walsh's playoff game, which was weather so bad I didn't even go, and I wanted to go. I was all excited for it all week. I chickened out the night of the game. He flew in from Oregon, stood on the sideline the whole game, and that meant a lot. I know it's fun to talk about Oregon and all the money they spend, but truth be told, this staff under Lanning hustles as hard or harder than anybody in the country. And when you add that on top of the money, that's why they're so effective. And that's why they do so good. It's just the truth. LSU on the official visit list for May 30th for Rock, USC on June 6th, Oregon for June 13th, Alabama June 20th. Now, USC turned up the heat and really got themselves into this the last time he was out there a few weeks back. Caleb Williams came out to meet him. They got a really good relationship with Chad Bowden, who was the Notre Dame GM that they hired away at USC that has their class rolling, sitting number one. And, you know, that momentum combined with the type of pitch they're given, I don't think it did anything but muddy these waters even more for Rock. Of course, you got Alabama in this thing as a top contender. They have been all along. Been to Alabama probably 3 times now, maybe one more. And Kalen DeBoer came up when the no contact period was over, first trip to Akron, Ohio. Now, let's get to our Buckeyes here when it comes to that recruitment. The Hills obviously did not have Ohio State on that first official visit list. Doesn't mean they won't get one. Took a surprise trip down to Columbus from Akron maybe 3 weeks ago. And at that visit, they came out of that. Things went well, working on their OV. But again, that was 3 weeks ago. That OV is still not scheduled. We see how Ohio State operates when they want somebody bad. They don't get out hustled. And they met Mark Pantoni for the first time on that visit 3 weeks ago, which is really rare for a top tier guy who's had an offer this long, who's a national recruit from the state of Ohio. Like, I thought at some point Ohio State was just going to flip a switch and turn it up to 10. But I thought it would start right after that visit. And they still have time, but man, I feel like it's running out. And it almost feels like maybe they're not going to now. I don't know, man. I don't know. But I'll tell you this. I don't care if you grow up a Buckeye fan or not, if you love Ohio State, if you've got 4 top tier places in your face making you feel like they want you, whether you want to grow up loving a place or not, if they're not going to give you the same, who wants to go to that situation when there's other great opportunities? It could make you think at this point, maybe Ohio State just doesn't have him as high on the board as we all think they do or should. No matter what you think, I don't know, but maybe they don't. Okay, let's say that's the scenario. Outside of Jordan Thomas out of Bergen Catholic in New Jersey, I don't see anybody else that they're in for that moves the needle anywhere near as close to Rock, and they're taking 3. So maybe I'm missing something. But at this point, if nothing changes from Ohio State's side of things, I think he's gone. If they ramp it up to 10, I think they can dig themselves out. I think they can still win. And I've had faith that they were going to do that. But man, this visit isn't scheduled. If I was Ohio State, I would have ramped this up a while back. I don't get it. I'm a little befuddled, but that's the update on that. All right, let's move on to some transfer portal updates as offensive line coach Tyler Bowen, a talent acquisition extraordinaire. This guy's just getting better and better. You got 14 offensive linemen right now. The goal is 16, and he is immediately going out. Got a visit scheduled for Friday with Orion Irving. Orion Irving, 6'6", 310 pounds out of Sam Houston State in Texas. In 2023, freshman All-Conference USA. Then in 2024, starts again. So 2 years starting at left tackle. He'll have 2 years of eligibility left, and that puts him in the class with Josh Padilla, Luke Montgomery, Austin Saraveld. So he's in with that group. Obviously, a huge opportunity for him. We know how Tyler Bowen operates. I think this is a slam dunk. Looking at the offers that have come in, Ohio State kind of in a class of its own there. And I think Tyler Bowen is going to wrap that up. He's going to be a Buckeye. Now, Rich Rod's mass exodus at West Virginia has provided a lot of opportunity for people all around the country to make themselves better. I don't know if this is TikTok related. As you know, he banned the TikTok dances, and now we see Justin Terry has entered the transfer portal at 6'5", 338 pounds. The kid from Pickerington, Ohio, coming to visit Ohio State. That is a big offensive lineman. He's from Pick Central, and he just completed his freshman year, but it was a redshirt year, so he's still got 4 years of eligibility. So, essentially, he's a freshman, and we could just go ahead and put him eligibility-wise in with the freshman class this year with Carter Lowe and Jake Cook and Javon McFadden. I think the odds are pretty heavy that he's a Buckeye at the end of this week as well. He was the number 49 prospect out of the state of Ohio in his class. And bada bing, bada boom, just like that, you got 16 guys in your room if Tyler Bowen closes on that. And that's how you get it done. On the defensive line, we talked last week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday's live show about the potential options that had surfaced at the defensive line at both end and in the middle for the Buckeyes. You had David Stone. Oklahoma freshman last year, 5-star commit, came in, played in every game in the SEC. We can wipe him off the board as he is now staying at Oklahoma. Then you had Elo Mendoza, who is the number 1 edge rusher. He came out of West Point. Georgia has landed him. So Georgia gets the number 1 edge rusher. Then we had TJ Bush. TJ Bush out of Liberty, looked like a really interesting edge. And he was a top 10 guy in the rankings of the spring portal. And he has signed at Cal. So he'll go join Devin Brown at Cal. Then you had Demarion Thomas. That was the big dude in the middle from Vanderbilt we talked about. He has signed at Oklahoma State. Then we had Joshua Horton. That was the big tackle in the middle down at Miami. He has also signed at Georgia. Currently, Ohio State has a visit set up with Bo Atkinson. He is the edge rusher from North Carolina. Edge rusher, but defensive end. He's a Jack Sawyer type. He's also got a meeting with Georgia. He's going to go down and see them. Going to see the Buckeyes. Georgia, I don't know if they're trying to make a clean sweep here, if they're just going to, say, all right, we got what we need. As we know, their room is pretty loaded on the defensive line, usually always, and they're bringing in 2 dudes already. So I don't know. They're going to take Bo Atkinson if they can. How much are they going to pay him after paying these other 2 guys? Who knows? But we're talking about a dude with a couple years of eligibility left who is, a total stud the Buckeyes could really, really use and really got to get him. And then there's Troy Pikes. Troy Pikes is the one from Georgia Southern. Already visited Georgia, but didn't sign with them. 3 years of eligibility left. Coming out of Georgia Southern at 19 years old, I can't find any film on the kid, but it seems like this is a depth piece for Ohio State or Georgia. Doesn't seem like this is a guy who's going to come in and help you in 2025, which is what I think Ohio State needs. So he doesn't really fit the bill for anything that excites me here, but supposedly coming up to visit Ohio State. Then you got Murad Watson. That's the freshman All-American out of Syracuse. Ohio State thought to be in a quartet of teams along with Tennessee, Texas, and Georgia. Texas has signed 4 defensive tackles in the portal, including 1 this cycle. So 3 when the season first ended, 1 this little most recent spring cycle. And of course, they got our 3rd best guy in Hero Canoe, who we'd really love to have back. He'll now be their backup nose tackle. Out of high school, Watson almost signed at Tennessee. Ended up staying close to home. He's out of New Jersey. Ended up going to Syracuse. But he was a freshman All-American, havoc wreaker. He's a guy that could really, really help come in and push immediately for playing time. He is not scheduled yet with Ohio State. There is word that he's got a really high asking price, and that's what it is. That's what it is at this point. You see how fast these guys go off the board. So that's where we're at with this thing. It moves at the speed of light. These guys we talked about on Thursday, Friday, and this weekend, they're all gone. They're out of the picture already. There aren't new guys coming in, and the date for them to no longer enter is in 4 days. So there probably won't be many more options coming in here. That's where we stand. There's no time to screw around. If you want to make something happen, you got to make it happen for yourself. That's just what it is. I don't make the rules. I just tell you what's going on. But I will tell you, there are 4 teams that currently sit at the top of college football in the hierarchy of college football. That is Georgia, Texas, Oregon, and Ohio State. And that's what it is. And Georgia and Texas are going out making themselves better on the defensive line as we speak. Will Ohio State? We'll see. On Saturday's show, we talked about the newest 3 potential guys for Ohio State for the quarterback in the 2026 class. We talked about Derek Zammit, who's out of New Jersey, DePaul Catholic. That's Deshaun Stewart and Des Jones High School, freshman right now for the Buckeyes. Ohio State was going to go out and watch him throw. On that show, I said it felt like he was probably going to commit pretty soon. During the show, he committed to Washington. And I'm not sad about it. I'm not. Out of the 3 guys, I really liked Peyton Falzone. I really liked Jet Tamala for their upsides. Jet Tamala committed to Iowa State. Peyton Falzone committed to Penn State. So all 3 of them off the board. The Buckeyes may still go watch Derek Zammit and Jet Tamala throw and try to flip them. And most people would think, all right, if you're committed to Washington or Iowa State and Ohio State now comes and offers, odds are you're going to flip. And you can look at it like that, but you got to figure it's a bit of a different world for these guys with this transfer portal being open. If I believe in myself as a quarterback, but I know that I'm not going to play over Tavian St. Clair or Brady Edmonds, even if I'm just as good, I'm not going to get the nod over those guys. That's just not how it works. There's politics attached to this. If you go to Ohio State, you can be just as good as those 2 guys, but they are, there's so much clout behind them that you need to be way better to play over them. So you can go do that for a couple years and then transfer out of Ohio State. Or you can go to Iowa State, get yourself on the field in year 2, show out in the Big 12, and then get your opportunity to come be a starting quarterback at an Ohio State type of program and make big money doing it. And these are the calculations these guys have now. When you say, like, why in the world would anybody pick Iowa State over Ohio State if they came calling? Well, that's a situation right there, if you're thinking this through, where somebody could talk themselves into thinking that could be a better move for them. So what do the Buckeyes do for quarterback in 2026? It looks like Nathan Bernhard is getting real cozy with Michigan now, and that might end up being the play for him. Nathan Bernhard, the big stud out of Ashland. That would suck. But they've also got Michigan had a visit from Brady Smigel. Brady Smigel. I've showed you Brady Smigel before. If ever there was a Michigan face, it's this kid's face. And he's just like that. That's Michigan all the way. I mean, he just looks like Michigan. He should have a Michigan tattoo. He had a great 2-day visit up at Michigan. He's a really good quarterback out of California. Was at one time committed to Florida State. And probably, I don't know if he ends up at Michigan or not, but if he doesn't, I think Nathan Bernhard does. Now, let's get to a couple comments. I'm sorry, guys. I don't have a ton today. I was really busy, but we got an awesome show tomorrow. But a few of your comments in response to my, I don't know what you'd call it, about Brock Boyd. Chad says, when I see Brock Boyd, I see Ladd McConkey. Anthony says, Brock Boyd reminds me of Brian Hartline and Ed McCaffrey. John Taylor says, a Cooper Kupp type. I don't know if you guys are trolling me or not, but well played. Well played. Darian says, where do you get those helmets? They look real. Brother, they are real. What do you mean they look real? In the description on YouTube or on all my videos, it'll tell you Green Gridiron. Follow the link. Get yourself a helmet. You get a discount for being a Juck on Bucks customer to go buy your helmets. And who wouldn't want to sit in a room full of helmets If you've never done it, it's a thrill. It feels great. I love it. I get to do it every day. A-Train, potential debate topic. In your opinion, what year did the modern era of college football start? Some people say the 60s. Some people say the 90s. You could also make a case for the mid-2000s. My personal opinion, 1987 or 1988. That's a great question. Like when I was younger, people would say the beginning of the AP poll, 1936, was the modern age of college football. Like after you kind of got out of the barnstorming era and things like that, and the entire country was voting on a champion, which was kind of absurd. The way they did it, there would be 7 different bodies voting on a champion. It was absurd. But 1936 was the beginning of the AP poll. Some people would take that up to the 60s and say integration, and others will go up as far as to the beginning of the BCS. Like, all right, so the 98 season, the championship was played in 99. And others recently, I've heard saying, let's just say from 2000. Let's call it 2000. We now got a quarter century. It's nice and pretty. Let's call this the modern era. I do think it's something we should all agree upon. I don't particularly care what we do. I would like to get on the same page, which is my big beef with old national championships. I just want to get on the same page. I guess if I had to choose what the modern college football era would mean, if I could write it into rule and say like, all right, this is what we're all going to call the modern football era, I would say the beginning of the BCS. Even though it's not a nice round number like the year 2000, it's when we started playing for a national championship on the field. And even though people ragged on the BCS like crazy, the BCS usually got it right. They usually got the proper 2 teams, which was, I thought it was a great system. I loved it. The bowl games were awesome. You had about 5 programs at the end of the year who felt like they had a great season because they won the Orange Bowl or won the Fiesta Bowl. It was awesome. Anyway, old man Juck reminiscing about my favorite era of college football. Unlike Joel Klatt, who thinks this is the golden era of college football. It's not. It is the golden era, potentially, of being a Buckeye fan, as the Buckeyes have an amazing opportunity here in the next 2 or 3 years to really cement a little mini dynasty, because they kicked in the door. Ryan Day can do it. He can get over the hump, and things are set up for long-term success. But the margins are so thin. They're so thin. And people ragged on Ohio State last year, ragged on us for the moves Ohio State made in the offseason that set them up for success. Hang the banner, offseason champs. You know what? 25% of the season is won in the offseason now. That's just the truth. So you got to nail it. You got to get it right. Anyway, sorry for the short show today, guys. I do appreciate you so much. Big show tomorrow. Can't wait to see you. I'll talk to you then. JUCK Bucks out.